Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Daniel Umstead, host of the RNG radio show. I'm really excited. I got a CEO on the show right now. So let me dive into a background here real quick before we get started. So she was born and raised in Brooklyn, bachelor's degree from Florida International University, double major in international relations and geography with the double minor in sociology and anthropology, master's of advanced study in geographic information systems from Arizona State University. Both degrees were obtained on campus. And then did some back and forth traveling in Spain between 2008 to 2013. Bartender turned entrepreneur. And as mentioned before, born in Brooklyn, but English is the second language as Spanish is her first. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to the RNG radio show, Ariane Vidal, who's CEO and franchise owner with ACN. Ariane, how are you doing today?
I'm fabulous, Daniel. How are you?
I'm doing good, doing good. So we talked prior, of course, with all my guests, I always like to do like a brief introduction. And I was just amazed as far as what you do, even lives that you changed as well. A lot of people hear these networking companies and the first thing they're thinking of like, oh, you're going to get ruined, and they're not realizing themselves their W-2 in itself is their own scheme. But nonetheless, that's the first gem of the day. But tell me about your story, Ariane. How did you get started, where you're currently at, and what do you currently do for the folks at home that need to listen?
All right, awesome. So like you mentioned, my name is Ariane Vidal from Brooklyn. So basically, I was that person that got told the idea, like, go to school, get a job, live happily ever after. So I did. I went to Florida International and got my double major, double minor, and started bartending in college. And I made a gang of money, made a lot of money, but I was unfulfilled. And around the time I turned 30, I had an epiphany / moment of clarity / mental breakdown, however you want to look at it. And I decided to go back to school to get a master's degree because I was about 8 years into it. And I was like, this is not how I saw my future. So I did. I went, got my master's, graduated top of my class with a 4.33 on a 4.0 scale, and got a really expensive receipt that said I was smart. And I still couldn't get a job. Even entry level was what I went to school for. Wow. So at this point I was overqualified, I guess. I have no idea, but I still couldn't do anything. So now not only did I have bills to pay, but I had a really expensive receipt that I had to pay back. So I started bartending again. Got a really cushy bartending job. And unfortunately, my father passed away unexpectedly. And it just really completely changed my mindset, completely changed the way that I looked at things, completely just changed everything. And I realized that time was the one thing that we can't get back. It's our most precious commodity and the thing that most people waste, unfortunately. So after being at this place that I was working at, I was grossly overworked, super unappreciated, and pretty much underpaid for my value, in my opinion, right? So I decided to leave my bartending job. Didn't really know what I was going to do. And I kind of fell in my lap to start a real estate investing company. So I did. And I got some financial education that, you don't actually get in school, right? Even when you're in finance, I feel like you don't get financial education in school. So I was taught about residual income and leveraging your time and distribution models and multiple streams of income. So, I jumped into, I'm going to be a millionaire. So I started putting my hands into multiple areas, and because I'm that shiny squirrel person, like, ooh, let me put my hand here, let me do all this. So I was doing a whole bunch of different stuff. I was learning about stock markets, I was learning about crypto, I was taking acting classes, I was doing all this stuff. I was like, I want all the residual income. I want to make it happen. So I was open to different opportunities where I was presented with how to get paid on bills, and it just made sense, especially since I was shifting into the real estate space. I was like, because nobody buys a house to sit in the dark with no entertainment.
Right.
You just don't. I don't know about you, but I don't like to take a cold shower in the dark. So I was like, this just makes sense, right? So, like I said, this was in 2019. So 2019, fast forward, 2020, we got a pandemic. So I was very new in the real estate space, and I had gotten a little traction and stuff like that, but we had a pandemic and things shifted a lot. So I focused more. I kind of took my hand out of a lot of those cookie jars just because I realized that like when you have 3,000 priorities, you really have none. And I was trying to learn too much stuff and it was information overload. And I was really just not focusing enough on certain things. So I took my hands out of all those things and just really focused on my essential service concierge because, you know, at the end of the day, people weren't paying their rent, but they were still paying their bills. So why not help people get better value, save some money, you know, like put some money back into your pocket and even learn how to get paid on those bills. Because, you know, especially in real estate, if you have a couple of apartments that you're renting out or, you know, you're a real estate agent and you're handing over a list of service providers when you sell a house, real estate is very transactional.
Yeah.
You know, like it's unless you have gotten to the point where you are a landlord or in syndications or you're the bank finally, which is like, you know, the epitome of real estate, like you're the one that's giving the money out, you know, it's a transaction. And you put all that work into it to have to just have another transaction. Nathaniel, I'm in Brooklyn. Transactions are expensive out here. Like,
tad bit.
A little bit. Like our you know, our real estate transactions are upper 6 figures, 7-figure type situations. So it's not, you know, I heard some, like I was talking to somebody the other day, they were like, yeah, you know, we were buying a house for 25 grand. I was like, what? $25,000? I was like, you can't even like knock down a garage for $25,000 in New York. Like, and you bought a house on like acres? Like, what do you mean? You know, so it just made sense to kind of shift. So I'm just, you know, more in the real estate space right now, consulting with people and telling them about how they can produce a stream of income from the overhead expenses, the overhead liabilities that they have in their properties, that they have in their, you know, buildings, that they have on their homes that they're renting out or whatever, and then make those income producing assets where you will get paid every month. Because I don't know you, I don't know much about a lot of people. Well, I do, we've met a couple of times, but like you pay bills and you pay them every month and you're going to pay them for the rest of your life and you're going to pay them whether you want to or not.
Absolutely.
I don't have to remind you to pay your electric bill. You know, like nobody has to, no, the electric company doesn't even have to remind you to do that because they'll remind you that if you don't, you won't have electricity.
That nice little red envelope with the red writing on it that says, hey, you got X amount of days before, you know, we got to do what we got to do.
Right. They don't remind you to pay it. They do, but they remind you to pay it like if you haven't. Like, yeah. Like, hey, did you forget about this? Because you're going to walk in one day and flick the lights on and they're not going to turn on. So if you don't get your life together, you know, so these are things that are necessary, you know, so why not get a way of saving money on them or getting better value, getting better plans, getting something like that. And then especially in the real estate space, like they are bills that have to be paid, and why not make that extra stream of income so you can put it somewhere else?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, a lot of folks, even including myself, I definitely got into real estate, becoming a realtor, and had signed up with the XP Realty initially, and things was going great, you know, prior to the pandemic hitting. And then of course it shifted. What, for the audience, definitely, what has been like your biggest takeaway, you know, getting into real estate, doing real estate investing before you made the switch over to what you're currently doing now?
Well, like I said, I actually started it right around the same time, but real estate was definitely more of my focus considering, for lack of anything else, I had put so much, I had invested so much into myself with the real estate that I was like, this needs to be my focus. And at the end of the day, you have to pivot. Like when something happens, if you don't figure, everything is figure outable. Marie Forleo says that, right? Like if you can't figure it out, like figure something out, because if not, you're going to kind of get left behind, right? So everything was kind of getting moving, and then the pandemic happened and you just had to shift over to something else, you know? So it was something that I was already doing, but it wasn't by any means my focus at that point. Gotcha. And then, you know, at the end of the day, so much stuff happened with the pandemic that like, why not be able to help people? Why not be able to assist people? Because money was tight. Money is still tight. Like we are going into a very weird time. We're in strange waters right now with things happening around in the world. And I love to help people and I love to educate people. And most people don't know that they can monetize those things. So it just made sense to focus more on that, because these are things that are constantly going up too. Like, why not figure out a way to put some back into some of that hard-earned money back into your pocket, where you're like, oh, well, I have to do this anyway. I got to pay these anyway. So why not? So it was just a shift where I just pivoted for a little bit. And then once things get into some type of normalcy.
Yeah. We'll get back to normal.
We'll pivot back into some other things. Yeah. Well, whatever normal is, normal is boring anyway, but like, I don't, you know what I mean?
Gotcha. No, I'm with you on that. No, I appreciate that. And then with what you're currently doing right now, I mean, there's titles, of course, to it: CEO, franchise owner, but the most term that most folks come across is essential service specialist, concierge. Could you describe, as far as specifically the hands-on, as far as what you do, how it's pretty much done? Is it people just coming up to you, people reaching out to you saying like, hey, I want to get a cheaper service? Or is it real estate agents, folks coming to you, property managers? Pretty much, how is it that you are thriving and being successful in your current role?
Well, never any door knocking. That's not the kind of situation that it is, because that's just weird. But luckily I do have that network. But let's be honest, whether you're in real estate or not, you pay bills. So a lot of people are just like, oh, I can get a more affordable service. And quite honestly, like, if we've learned how to do anything in the last couple of years, it's how to click a button, right? Like how to click a link and put add to cart. And like, that might have not been so readily normal a couple of years ago, but like now it's like just the go-to of situations. So why not have a one-stop shop of things? So imagine like you bought a house, let's just say you're about to move in, real estate agent hands you a list of providers. Well, as a real estate agent, just for example, that is now your transaction. And quite honestly, you work for EXP and you understand, like, you get a commission, and it's a nice commission, right? But what if that's the only house you sell this month? God forbid, Now that might have been a great commission, but is that a great commission that you can like spread out for 2 months? Maybe not, So what this does is it provides like a VIP service for your clients, which who doesn't want a VIP service, right? And then you just sit there and be like, hey, listen, let's see what we have that we can connect with through this online portal, this concierge online portal that we have of all the different essential services with all the different companies that we work with, like AT&T and all these different things, Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, and see what we can connect. And then every month when the bills are paid, you make a percentage. So now that one-time commission transaction that you had now turns into something that's getting paid every month, whether you want to or not, because you might not ever see that family that you sold that house to again. But now you help them get a concierge, like one-stop shop type situation, because I don't know about you, but moving sucks.
Oh yeah.
It's daunting. Like, it is like, oh my God, can I just and be everything like set up in my apartment?
Which the whole thing.
Right. Like just let it be done by the time I get there. You know what I mean? Like So when you have something that connects that, and it's like, okay, at the closing table, like, all right, let's see what services. Oh, you want to get home security? Great. We work with Vivint. Here is the personal person from Vivint that will make your plan, like get you whatever it is that you need at that house, like, or the property, whatever, Oh, you Con Ed, great. But you know what I mean? Let's hook this up so you can get a fixed rate. And then every month those bills are paid. You might never speak to that person again, but now, you have residual income that's coming in every month where, it's bridging a gap, right? So you're offering a concierge service, a VIP service to your clients, which nowadays you have to learn how to set yourself apart from everybody else. Like, if everybody's doing the same thing, what's making you different?
It's getting boring and boring. Like, oh, you're giving me the same pitch. I believe I heard this story 25 times before.
Right. Like, yeah, you gotta do something different. You got to be like, oh, well, Daniel was an amazing realtor, and, he helped me when I was buying my house, sitting there, like, when we were signing the lease or when we were signing the contract, we sat down, we hooked up all my services, blah, 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 blah. And by the time I moved in, everything was already hooked up. It was amazing. let me refer you to him. So you're also getting more referrals by default, you know?
I love
So
that.
it works really well with that. And then people are like, oh, we have all different services, you know, like we work with all different areas that are essential in our lives. Like, what's an essential service? Something that you need, use every day, and pay for every month, and can never pay off. Like, you could pay off your mortgage, you could pay off your car, you know. Call AT&T and ask them to, like, hey, don't ever send me another bill for my cell phone. Tell me how much I'm going to owe for the rest of my life. They're going to laugh in your face, hang up, and probably send you a bill for that conversation.
Right. Because their service rates change oh so frequently. Like, why is my bill so high this month? Well, your promo ran out and now it's time to renew or get on that brand new plan.
Right. And but, like, you know, and this is a relational thing where you're like talking to people that you like know. So, you know, if your cell phone breaks, like, I can't, like, call AT&T, but, like, hey, listen, if you want to figure something out, I am a person. I can help you. Like, and I care. Like, that's the difference. Like, this isn't some big corporation. Like, yes, we work with these huge companies, but I care. Like, I am genuinely concerned to help you make some money or save some money or get a better plan, get better value. You know, you want to donate to whatever, get mileage for your electric, like, we could do that. We can make that happen. I have ways that there's ways that we can do that. So, you know, it's just a different experience.
I appreciate that. And then, you know, because majority of the audience, they're in real estate, property managers, even apartment managers, that I know that they could benefit from this, especially for their own tenants or just in general. You know, some people may just know 100 folks and know that they are, of course, utilizing essential services. For those individuals who are listening and watching, how can they get in contact with you as far as having that discussion, either for themselves, becoming that rep, or just having folks get in contact with you? What's the best way that folks can do that?
Okay, well, I am on multiple social media platforms. My name is Ariane Vidal. I'm sure it'll be somewhere on below, and you know, there'll be a link below to my my different platforms that I'm on Facebook or Instagram and stuff like that, and you know, LinkedIn also. But yeah, that's probably the best way to contact me, would be through the links below, and then we can move from there.
Great. Love that. Love that. And one last question I always love to ask my guests on the show is, when you are faced with an obstacle or hurdle, like, how do you overcome that? Like, what's your motivation, or even what's your quote that, you know, keeps you going and keeps that drive going for you?
Okay, well, you know, like I mentioned, my father unexpectedly passed away a couple of years ago, so it's predominantly my mother and I. So my mom's my why, you know, because she gave everything for me. I'm an only child, right? But she came here from Cuba with the dress on her back, you know, with my grandma, and she ended up retiring as one of the senior vice presidents from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. So she moved up a lot, and she busted her butt, you know, and like, she's my motivation. She's the reason why I decided to change things, because I realized when my father passed away, like, man, you know, we're here for a blink of an eye, you know. Yeah. And I was always working. I was working 70, 80, 90 hours a week, to the point where I was like, on the time off, I was sleeping or doing chores, or, you know, like handling like stuff at home, you know. So that's when it's like, you know, it's ups and downs, especially when you've never been an entrepreneur, when you've never done things like that. Like, yeah, I was an amazing employee,
okay,
you know, but I realized, like, if I'm an amazing employee, I could be doing this and running a little my own life and doing the things where, you know, I have time, where I can spend time with my family on holidays and not have to be like, oh, well, you know, thanks, I gotta go, you know, on Thanksgiving, or, you know, having to work on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, because hello, as a bartender, those were prime money making nights, you know. Right. So that's really it, you know. This is like, just keep going. Don't give up. Like when it's hard, like if you fall 8 times, get up 9. Like just keep moving forward, and you just have to pivot when something doesn't seem like it's not going the right way. Well, do review, like make the plan, do it. And if it doesn't work, well, we'll figure something out and change it. Like everything is figure outable, like I said earlier.
I was about to say it's figure outable. And
yeah,
I love your point. A lot of people get so wrapped up in there because we're getting towards the end of the year. For the folks that may be catching this later on or listening later on, it is December 2022. But we're getting towards the end of the years for our W-2 folks, and their big thing is like the end of the year review. And some of them have stellar reviews. They have excellent reviews where they are that amazing employee, and they've had opportunities where they could be running their own business. They could be doing something on the side just as amazing and don't want to. So, I hope that folks are listening and pick that up. If you're amazing already at one job or your W-2, your main line of work, try for that opportunity. I don't know what that opportunity is. Ariane doesn't know what that opportunity is, but
I do, but
it's
even though we all pay bills,
right. It's becoming an essential service.
Yeah, why not get paid on your bills? You have to pay them for the rest of your life. But hey, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. But it's really just taking that opportunity, and if you're stuck on that opportunity, by all means, please get in contact with Ariane or myself, so we can lead you, to that right pathway. So I hope folks are listening, but I really appreciate, coming on, dropping gems, dropping the information, showing the good light of it. Because like I said, a lot of people hear this type of business like, I haven't heard too much good about it, but hearing the success of someone coming out of it just makes it stand out much more. So I appreciate your time for talking about that.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And I definitely would love to have you come back on to do a follow-up, see how things are going, and taking it from there.
That would be amazing. I would love to come back. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for tuning in to the RNG Radio Show. Be sure to like and subscribe for more episodes and future content. If you'd like to learn more, visit us at danielumstead.com. Stay blessed, my fellow millionaires.